Hey, I'm your host, the Dr. Danko, come on in. You've been missing out, so let's begin. Pumpkin_crumb is your host here too. When you hear the beat, you know what to do. Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Hey. Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Why Did Not You Warn Me?
Tune in.
Yes, now we have a theme song so you can make fun of me for it, but you
Join
didn't
me.
do any work.
Listen,
So that's fine. You didn't have to.
My
No.
presence here is a gift.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that what you're going with?
Yes.
Whatever. Moving on. So this week's episode is sort of special because it's on location. We're not in our apartment right now. We are in limbo, basically. We are visiting Pittsburgh.
You're not going to
briefly.
introduce yourself?
No.
Oh.
All right, I should do that.
Now
for
that I've
our-
drawn
our
attention to
fans.
it.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. You could have went the whole episode and been like, you didn't
Like,
even
who
introduce
is this person?
Just a disembodied voice. All right, so this is Why Did Not You Warn Me? I am your host, Matthew, the Dr. Danko.
I'm Hillary Crumb, choosing...
Pumpkin_crumb.
to embrace
It's in
that.
the theme song. So until you change
Yeah,
your
I listened to
Twitter-
you recording the theme song for like 48
Okay.
straight hours.
First,
And I was like, you know what? I don't want to be known as Pumpkin_crumb
then
exclusively.
you gotta change it. You gotta change it.
I don't have to do anything I don't want to do.
But you do. To live in the media age, you do.
So this is the Matthew Danko podcast.
Don't call it that.
He's alone.
That's fine. I could talk forever, and I have, and I will.
Bye.
All right. So seriously, right now, forget all that bullshit. Right now, we are in my childhood bedroom recording this episode because we are
In limbo.
in limbo between apartments, signing our new apartment papers and moving out of our old place.
Yay!
Yes, it's a great transition. We're actually going to be in Pittsburgh for a while, for at least 8 months.
Yeah.
Hopefully no more than that.
We'll
At least
see.
right now.
We'll see.
It depends on how we like things
Wherever
and things like
the
that.
wind blows us.
Right. Yes. And,
Anyway.
I mean, it's not that I don't want to live in Pittsburgh. It's just I've lived here for 20-some years. And, I mean, I went to school downtown Pittsburgh, not even living on campus because it was already super expensive to go to there. And, like, so I commuted from home for all those years and had, like, kind of been in one room my whole life. So getting
This
out
room.
of, this room. Well, I lived in the other two
that's
rooms.
right.
Like, I bounced around and I kicked everyone out of their room and was like, this is mine. I'm the captain now.
Okay, killer.
All right.
Such a badass.
That was a reference.
Yeah, but
To also, not only is it a reference to, like, the thing it's actually from, but it's a reference to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And the fact that you didn't pick up on that,
I got like 4
Shame.
hours of sleep last night.
I don't care. All right. What are we talking about this week? Because I don't even know.
So I asked Matt what we wanted to talk about this week. What? Because I keep a list, and he responded, and I wrote this down on the list so that we could share it with you. His response verbatim is "Your Fah-Chay,"
Your Fah-Chay.
which I spelled FAH-CHAY, so that I would remember this special moment.
Yeah.
So basically, we don't have a whole lot this week. We have a couple
we
things.
do. The other
You're
thing
going to talk
is-
for like 45 minutes about a movie that you watched.
Well, that's what usually happens.
and a game that you played.
Yes. But the other thing is, like, we're recording this episode earlier than expected because of the way the timing worked out. We'd be in the car and on the road all day tomorrow, which is when we normally record, and we just didn't want to squeeze it in then. So.
And like, it's going to be shitty enough recording it today, but like,
Yeah.
imagine the drop in quality if we did it after
Right.
2 days of driving and moving.
Yeah. So, and not only that, I mean, we're also in a different space. It's like if we recorded it at our apartment because of how we've been packing everything up, the walls are very sparse.
It echoes when we speak to each other.
Horde. And like, you can probably hear some background noise here. I don't know if I'll be, if I won't be lazy enough to actually take it out, like the background noise, because there's
a convoluted sentence.
The windows. Huh? It's fine. I'm progressing.
Okay.
Move past it. I don't know. There's like my family's listening to the television downstairs, so there might be some background. They're also watching it.
They're not just listening.
No, they're very listen. Listen.
Listen.
I don't. You're making me nervous. Shut up. I'm just kidding. Please don't. All right. So what did you do this week?
Mostly, I watched you struggle and I laughed about it.
Didn't even help. Just let me crash and burn.
Right. Well, you were mean to me, so.
I was not.
I am, unfortunately, still reading The Amazing Adventures of Kavlier and Clay.
Is it unfortunate? Aren't you enjoying it, though?
It's a really good book, but I did kind of brag a little bit about reading a book a week. And I will say that there are a couple of reasons why I'm still reading this book, partially because, as previously discussed, it's a giant.
Yeah.
And also because we've been moving. Although, honestly, if we had recorded this on Thursday, I probably would actually be finished with the book, because I'm close to the end of it.
Yeah, but then you'd just be delirious.
Right. So. But I can talk a little bit about the book. There's like one last thing that I didn't talk about.
Yeah.
And that's that, of these two characters, Joe Kavlier and Sammy Clay, this is set in like the 1940s. Sammy is gay.
Mm-hmm.
And he, typical of that time, he doesn't want to admit it to himself, let alone anyone else, because you could also be sent to jail for that in this era of crazy. American history. So the story that's going on is that, so Joe's family is still in Prague, except his younger brother, who's on a ship to America that Joe was able to pay for his brother's passage, along with several other Jewish children, to be able to flee Europe and come to America, basically to flee the early whisperings of the Holocaust. Joe is also, it's worth noting, dating a woman named Rosa, a native New Yorker. Her family's also Jewish, although not as Jewish as Joe's family. So there's Joe and Rosa, and Sammy is sort of like quietly seeing a male actor, very quietly. But Joe finds out that the ship that his younger brother was on was attacked by German forces, and it goes down, and his brother and all of these children do not make it.
Jesus.
Yeah, so Joe finds this out and just splits. Like, he leaves town. Doesn't tell Rosa, doesn't tell Sammy, just leaves. And Rosa and Sammy are both heartbroken because Sammy and Joe have been like brothers in the course of creating this comic book character and the successes and trials of putting that together. Rosa reveals to Sammy that naturally she's pregnant.
Makes sense.
So she and Sammy actually get married and decide to raise Joe's child as Sammy's. And it's not a loveless marriage because they are very close. They care deeply for each other. They're just, not sleeping together because Joe is sort of the love of Rosa's life and Sammy's got other stuff going on.
Right.
But they raise this kid and Joe is just off. We find out that he joins, I want to say the army, but I'm not positive, thinking that maybe he'll get sent to Europe to be able to actually do something to help the Allied forces. He gets sent to, like, Antarctica, which is awful. But the part of the book that I have just reached, these parties are sort of coming together again, very near the resolution of the book. I don't remember exactly how they deal with the fact that Rosa and Sammy are married, and Rosa is deeply still in love with Joe, and they have this kid that doesn't know that doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, the book has a lot of components. Definitely read it. Sorry that I've spoiled, like, all of it, but...
I mean, no, it's fine. I'm pretty sure in the 2 episodes back we said spoilers.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the description.
Perfect. Yeah, it's a good book. It's a dense,
crazy book,
complicated
though. Like,
book.
From where it started, because, I mean, you didn't even mention all the...
right.
Just basically the actual plot of the book before. You only told me about the comic book angle and things like that. So, like, this book goes in some interesting places. And
yeah.
I mean, it still scares me with how large it is, how long it's taking you to read it, and the fact that you do occasionally ask me to look up words because you're like you have all the knowledge already.
I know a lot of words.
And you read, and I mean, you kick everyone's ass at like Scrabble and up words. So like
except
the fact that you turn over to me, and I'm usually scared because like you can hear my shit because it's too loud, like what I'm watching, and I don't want it to like frighten you right before bed. But you're like, can you look up a word for me? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who is this writer that's quite like my girlfriend is questioning her definitions of words?
And I mean, because like most of the time, if I don't know a word when I'm reading it, I can usually either figure it out from its roots or from its context.
Yeah.
But this book is dense enough that the context is not always clear.
Yeah. And
like I mentioned last time, sometimes he fucking makes up words, which doesn't
so
help anybody. Yeah. I always feel very vindicated when I find out that that's a word that Michael Chabon made up.
Right.
So, but yeah, don't be scared of reading it.
It has some cool content from what you said.
It is a very rich book, and like, sort of, yes, it is difficult to read, but the story is so enjoyable that you sort of forget about it. Okay. Like once you figure out the pacing and sort of like how to read this book, that it just requires a little bit more untangling than most books. But I mean, once I get into the pacing of reading it, then I'm caught up in these characters and the story. And it's sort of told, like parts of it are almost from the perspective of someone in the future chronicling the life of these 2 men who were so influential in creating these characters.
Okay.
Like there are occasional footnotes that talk about a particular piece of art in one of the comic books and references like, you know, collectors pay this many thousands of dollars for this particular panel. And yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I mentioned that I thought they were supposed to be the Marvel creators, but there's a scene where Stan Lee is talking about these 2 guys.
Well, they probably are supposed to be like a mirror of Marvel, or maybe not. Maybe they're supposed to be another like one of the lesser known. I mean, obviously you have your DC and your Marvel, but there's
it's a whole movement.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting. I'll have to read it at some point. I mean, the only reason I was able to get through like Perks of Being a Wallflower and I'll Give You the Sun that you suggested I'd read because you know me. Was because of the downtime I had. I read both of those backstage of shows that we were doing. So reading a book on my own is a little more difficult. Even the book that I'm reading now that I'm interested in, like that's the content right up my alley. It's just, I don't know. I struggle with like picking up a book, choosing to pick up a book when I could just, because I do have a lot of shit in my head, like projects and things that I'm constantly thinking about and working on, doing research for. So anytime I can pick up my phone and do that, I choose that over like quiet reading time, which would probably help bring down like my thoughts and like help me calm out right before bed. But
you have to find the right book though, because it's easy to read a whole page and realize that you haven't taken any of it in because you're still thinking about everything else. And also, I mean, for you, reading does not relax you because it's more difficult.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, even not from you per se, but like just I don't know. There was always pressure on it during school and shit like that.
And I mean, Perks and I'll Give You the Sun, they're very gentle books.
Yeah, there's a mellow quality to them.
Yeah, they ease you in and then, you know, crush your soul, sort of. But
yeah, because I stuck through them long enough, because there was like some cool mellow parts to them, but then like by the last quarter of the book, that's just like fucking
emotions that just get pounded. Like, and a lot of people have read The Perks of Being a Wallflower, so
or at least have seen the movie.
And the movie is a delightful adaptation of the book. I mean, because the guy who wrote the book wrote, directed, and designed the soundtrack for the movie, which is perfect. Works. Yeah. But I'll Give You the Sun is a little bit more of an obscure one. It's a young adult novel, and it is delightful. I wholeheartedly recommend that book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's by a woman named Jandy Nelson. And she wrote another book called The Sky is Everywhere that rips my heart to pieces whenever I read it. So
yeah, I don't know why you choose those books.
There's something about being made to feel stuff like that. I don't know. And also, I mean, her writing is just, it's beautiful and it's artistic. And I mean, the way I'll Give You the Sun reads, The Sky is Everywhere also reads that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, that's me. What have you been doing this week?
Well, as you already mentioned, I will talk. I'm gonna have to split up my time between the two things because I could talk forever about each of them individually.
Yeah, I know.
And you just don't want to hear it.
Well, the problem is that I've already heard it.
I know, because it's very hard for me to be like, I'm gonna save it for the podcast because I want to tell you.
You get excited.
Yeah, I do.
I get it.
The joy that I have.
It's sweet.
So we'll start with the. Hey, don't censor me.
Never, darling.
I'm with him.
What?
Hash brown. I'm with him.
So I have to go.
Wow. All right. Leave me hanging.
Men's rights is nothing.
There you go. So I wrapped up Batman Arkham Knight, which I do think it was my third time playing through, to 100% complete, which it is not incredibly difficult to do, but I know people get very impatient with it.
Because there's all the side quests.
Yeah, so like you have your main story, but the incentive to completing all of these side missions, which there's, if I remember the wheel correctly, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 13 side quests. It could be 12, and like then the 13th one is the main mission. Either way, there's at least 10 to 13 side quests. And one in particular are the riddles scattered around Gotham City. And your goal is to collect all of the Riddler trophies and solve all the, like, you have your detective scanner, like, in your suit. So you hear a riddle, and then you find a physical representation, a visual representation of that, like, the solution to that riddle. And then you snap a photo of it, and that solves that riddle. But these are all scattered throughout Gotham, and there's 243 of them.
Jesus. And
so, like, there's a side component of that, whereas, like, the Riddler has Catwoman captive, and you complete so many riddles, so you can go and help her. She has, like, a collar on that has 9 tickers on it. And
for the 9 lives.
Yeah, and if it gets... or if you fuck up, it blows her head off or something like that.
Yikes.
Yeah, but you solve all these riddles, get in there, help her defeat the Riddler, get her unhooked, and then you have to battle the Riddler in the final thing once you've solved all the other riddles. But it's just so annoying because there's so many other villains you're dealing with at the time that he's like at the very bottom of your list, but he's still like this little bitch that tunes into your ear and is like, Batman, I'm so much smarter than you. Prove me wrong. And then you do, and he's like, you cheated, or that was so easy, a baby could do it, and like lashes out that way. Like,
have you seen the meme that's the guy sitting at the table saying, like, one of the examples that I can think of is Pop-Tarts are a kind of ravioli. Change my mind.
Okay, I've seen the meme.
Okay.
I haven't seen that one. But...
yeah. Sorry.
Where does that tie?
You said change my mind.
Oh, I said prove me wrong. Maybe I did say change my mind.
You know
but
what? I quit this podcast,
Don't.
this relationship.
No, why? I had it all and I lost it. This is more frustrating than the Riddlers.
All of the Riddlers.
All of the Riddlers. So, aside from all that shit, if you complete all of the side quests, plus find all of these riddles, and then complete the main story, you unlock the full ending. And for me, that was very much incentive because it's Batman, and I'm a completionist when it comes to that. Like, I wanted to unlock everything. Also, like, the first time I played it, I didn't complete all the riddles. I went to as far as I can go in the main story without actually finishing the game. And then it said, go to, like, the top of the GCPD to the bat signal, and Alfred comes on the comm and is like, do you want to activate the Nightfall Protocol? And I was like, bad. I know what the Nightfall Protocol, or like, I know the Nightfall storyline in the comic books. If I do this, and it's what I think it is, this is it. There's no turning back. Like, this is the end of the game. And so I went online and I was like, what happens? Like, not details, but like, right. What do I need to do? Like, how do I, basically I was looking for a guide to be like, it's okay, but you're going to want to complete everything before you do it. And luckily that's like what I found out, because if you complete the game before getting all the riddles, you get like half the ending. Right. And that just didn't seem good enough for me. I came this far, beat all the other villains, like right. They're all in jail. For how long? I don't know. But well, I know. But
is it Iron Heights?
No.
Okay. Because if it's Iron Heights, they're in there for approximately 10 seconds.
They actually go, there's like holding cells in the GCPD, which is very, like, I don't know.
It seems weird.
Yeah, but
anyway, continue.
So when I first found that out, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do this. And like, I asked all the people I knew that had the game, and nobody had the patience for collecting all the riddles. And I was like, I get that, but I don't think I can let this go. I think I'm going to have to complete this.
That sounds like you.
Yeah. And then I did, and it just it broke my heart. Now, I don't even know what the half ending is. Like, I've never actually looked it up. So
that should be your next playthrough.
It might be, because once you complete the game, regardless of what percent you complete all the other shit, you get New Game Plus mode. So you get to start the game over, but retaining all of the moves and gadgets and everything that you had at the end of the game. So like, normally you get gadgets as you progress through the story for like completing the next mission. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't start out with everything. And certain abilities like grapnel boosts, where you can like grapnel up to a building and then tap X really fast and then shoot over that building and like glide to the next. Shit like that. So you get to start the game with all of that stuff. And also any skins or DLC downloadable content you have, you can apply that to the game. So like some cool things that I know you're not much of a gamer, so I'm trying to like summarize all the shit.
Gotcha.
But so like, you get the game on the disc, but then you get the downloadable content, so you can change sort of like what your character looks like, or add certain like side missions, like new maps to the game and things like that. So because Batman has been around for so long, had very many different iterations of his suit, you can download different versions of that suit and put it on your character instead of getting just the Arkham Knight version of that.
So they're just black or gray or...
No, because you can put the Adam West 66 Batman suit on your like super muscular Batman, and he has like the dark blue, light blue booty shorts, and like his gray
his spandies.
Yeah, his spandex, and he has his weird cowl on, and like...
You should also talk about Brooklyn Nine-Nine, speaking of
yes.
spandies.
Yes, we will.
Add it to the list right underneath your Fah-Chay. Go ahead.
Or like Ben Affleck's Batsuit, you can put on them and like change the look of the Tumbler, his vehicle, his Batmobile. In the Arkham, or not in Arkham, in the Christopher Nolan universe, they call it the Tumbler. That's his vehicle.
Why?
I don't know for sure. Maybe because it like can tumble, like and always land.
They should call it the Cat.
No. They have that.
Right, but a tumbler is like, okay.
A tumbler is what?
Your time.
Anyways, I've gotten way off track.
Shocking.
I knew this was going to happen.
Me too. Did you watch a movie this week?
Stop it. So, spoilers, because we're going to go into a little bit of the Arkham Knight ending and the
We are.
Nightfall Protocol. Just a little bit, because it's important, and it like made me emotional, because so like in the series, in the Nightfall series, that's where, you know, Bane breaks the Bat's back. What?
Bane breaks the Bat's back.
I know, it's a lot of alliteration. But it's like the like what would happen if Batman could no longer be Batman, sort of. That's the very basic premise. And there's this other contender who like will take the mantle of the Bat. His name's Azrael, and in the video game you train him to see if he's worthy. So there'll be like the side mission, he'll leave a burning bat symbol on a rooftop, you go find it, and then Batman will take a step back and you'll enter the controls for Azrael, basically complete a mission as him, and Batman overlooks it and sees if he's worthy to be Batman if Batman is no more. And in this game, Scarecrow is sort of the main villain. He has this objective to release this cloud burst of fear toxin over Gotham. Does so. Poison Ivy helps Batman to stop it. And he's injected Batman so much that Batman starts hallucinating the Joker. And this is off of the events of Arkham City, where the Joker dies, and like sort of Batman dies with him in a way, because not only was the Joker his main, like his arch nemesis, but it's like the one person that Batman couldn't save, so it gives him more shit to deal with, and a lot of other stuff, because obviously, you know, Batman doesn't kill. Like, right. That's his whole thing. Not that he hasn't killed. Movies. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing for a different day. But like, he has never wanted to kill the Joker. Like, even though he should, like, to everyone else,
not a good dude.
Killing the Joker would actually save a lot of people a lot of problems. But to Batman, because like the other thing that I find interesting about Batman is that Batman, like, they have those charts like chaotic good and chaotic evil and all that other shit. Right. Whereas like Batman and the Joker are very similar in every way, but act one for evil and one for good, like on a basic level. So like Batman knows he's sort of is self-aware to the fact that he's like batshit crazy, for lack of a better term. Like, he knows like there's not much keeping him from being in Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
But he has to keep doing what he's doing and keep fighting for good and like all this other shit. And the Joker was always his antithesis, like knowing that almost that's what he would be like if he wasn't doing what he was doing. And I know nobody, I mean, maybe the guys talking about shit are listening and they could like school me on what Batman is, but that's what Batman is for me. I don't have any other followers, so I don't have to worry about getting shit wrong. There's no edge-mode correction. Right. But it's just, so this game deals with Bruce Wayne dealing with the death of the Joker. And finally, like, the Joker's pushing him to keep like, you just come over to my side and see what it's like to be me. And then at the last bit of the game, you get so much fear toxin in you that you can't resist anymore, and you just become the Joker. So you play the last parts of the game as the Joker. But in the Joker's storyline that you play, Batman is always like sort of creeping in the shadows until finally the Joker, like, he's used his gun and shot everyone he can and like ends up in this room as like, I fucking beat you, Batman. And he pulls this like big lever for an exit. Like, this is the last step before the Joker goes out and like takes over Batman's brain entirely. And then when he pulls the lever down, these lights come on and you see Arkham Asylum and all these like prison cells on chains, like just hanging around, and one like swings into view and Batman's inside it, and he breaks out and fights the Joker and puts the Joker in there instead and sends it back to his, like, the depths of his mind. Like, Batman fought his way back through his own mind to push the Joker back even further. To, like, that's not, like, Batman is always fighting to be Batman. And that's one of the things that I just absolutely love is, like, he will stop at nothing, even, like, psychologically, to fight back. And he's able to push the Joker back into his mind and fully retain himself as Batman, so that when we come back to the game, Scarecrow's like, my fear toxin isn't working on you. And Bruce is like, yeah, it's never going to work on me. Like, and Scarecrow has had this plan to take off Bruce Wayne's mask and show the world, like, all of Gotham knows Bruce Wayne is now Batman. So Batman, after defeating Scarecrow and doing that psychological bullshit, flies back to Wayne Manor and blows it up. Because Batman is done. This was the last thing that he got everyone he needed to behind bars. And now, since they know Bruce Wayne is Batman, he can't keep going.
Blowing up his house? That's so extra.
He's fucking Batman.
No, he is Batman. Well.
Anyways, if you follow the story in the game, he's, like, tying up a lot of loose ends. And then is finally like, you know, Gotham still needs somebody to be Batman, but that person can't be me. Like, he's done as much as he could and all these other reasons that I can't get into because I'm still trying to cut down as much as possible, and I'm not doing a great job. But when the game ends, there's Jim Gordon doing almost like a eulogy of Batman to the city, because Batman was a big part of Gotham. Like, even though there were a lot of people that didn't like Batman, not just like criminals, but like people, citizens of Gotham, the majority of them liked that Batman was protecting their city and things like that. And then they do this shot of, like, this swankier part of Gotham, this mother, father, and son go down this alleyway, very reminiscent of, you know, the Waynes. Mm-hmm. Two criminals follow them into the alley and pull a gun on them. And then they look up and there's this figure, like, on a rooftop, and they're like, didn't you hear? Batman's dead. Batman's no more, whatever. And then the figure, like, rises and, like, bursts onto the screen. Like, almost, you get the sense that the fear toxin that they've used as sort of the villains have used the fear toxin to, like, control the minds of the citizens and shit like that to make them freak out and whatnot. This new Batman, who we assume is Azrael since he's been training to be Batman, right, is using it to scare criminals even more so and, like, continuing as Batman. But in the Nightfall storyline, Azrael becomes too powerful, and the only person that can stop him is Bruce Wayne.
Of course.
So if they make another game, that's where they could go. But it's just the whole, like, the way they say goodbye to everything, and, like, hits me real hard.
It's hitting you real hard right now.
Yeah, I know. It's just, it's a lot. All right. I don't know how long I was talking for, so I don't even have to talk about my movie. I can save that for next week.
Okay.
So, what else do we have to talk about?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes.
Came back on Sunday.
Yes.
For the rest of season 5.
Yeah, that was their mid-season break.
Right. So long. Like,
yeah.
We were without Brooklyn Nine-Nine for way too long.
Yeah.
I think we watched the whole series just about twice in that break.
Yeah.
But we were unemployed, so that's not saying a whole lot.
I mean, we were also watching other series. We finished Dollhouse and
Prison Break,
and we finished season 1 of Buffy and season 1 of Doctor Who, and, like, finished season 2 of Doctor Who
we'll talk about Buffy too in a second.
All right.
But yeah, like, one of the actresses, Stephanie Beatriz, who plays Rosa, one of the detectives in the 9-9, she tweeted that that Sunday event, it was, like, their highest live ratings of the show, which is great because awesome, apparently it's in danger of not getting renewed, which is garbage.
Yeah, I mean, like, even even if they didn't, like, I mean, The Office ran for longer than it should have. Parks and Rec
ran one season longer.
Too much, but
yeah.
I mean, on the rewatches, I enjoy season 7, but just differently than the rest of the series.
Yeah, it just feels like a different show.
Yeah, but I get why, they said they were making it that way. And what other show? No, that's, I guess it, because, like, The Good Place is still on.
Right. I don't know
really,
where The Good Place is going to go.
I mean, they're all on spoilers if
Yeah.
you're watching The Good Place, but they're all, like, in Earth, not alive now. Like, they're going to try to regain some points and, like, prove that they belong in The Good Place.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but...
Why?
Well, we can get into that.
Where else could they go?
Right. It's not a question of... It's, like, the show has... It's called The Good Place. They have not been in The Good Place for a long while now. It sort of feels like they're just rolling dice with where they're going to end up next. Yeah.
It makes total sense why they did it this way. Because they infected somebody, like, Michael is a demon for the I mean, he's something. He might not be a demon particularly.
I think he's a demon.
Okay, but he basically was evil.
I know.
And then they infected him and made him care about people.
I like the show. I'm just not like super hooked into it.
Well, I am.
Great. I'm way more hooked into Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which was
obviously
the topic that we were discussing.
I know, but it's the same creators, so you gotta... And these, at least Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Parks and Rec and The Good Place are all connected. Right,
they're all in the same universe.
Yeah, the universe.
God is female and ethnically ambiguous.
Yes.
But yeah, so watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine if we haven't imparted that yet.
Yeah, it's a dope show.
So Buffy.
Yeah.
We finished season 2 of Buffy. What were your thoughts?
I really dig the show.
Yeah?
I mean, it's the way season 2 ended. I mean, I did see, obviously not until that last episode, like, there was really only one way it could end.
I looked at him and I was like, think of the most dramatic possible way this could end, and then don't say it out loud because you'll guess it.
Yeah, and I was like, I already know what's going to happen here.
Right. But the way that it happened.
Yeah, and like, if the show didn't get picked up, it could very easily end there.
Yeah.
I'm glad it doesn't, because I do want to see these characters continue. And especially Oz and Willow. I was going to call her Allison.
Oh.
But
call her Lily.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she's played so many parts that I've seen. But they're just great together. I know she,
There are other things down the line for Willow.
Right.
But she and Oz are spectacular.
They're so delightful.
Together.
And I love Seth Green, so it's cool to see him on this show.
And it's nice because every other relationship that gets highlighted on Buffy is so dramatic. But Willow and Oz are just like light and breezy.
I love it. I mean, their characters also stand out. Like, I mean, Cordelia is starting to grow on me a little bit, but
only
Xander really brings
garbage,
everyone down. Like, I hate him.
Yeah.
I've told you this, but like, Xander is what Chandler would have been in high school if Chandler never grew up. Chandler from Friends, if that's not clear. I don't know how many Chandlers exist in the TV land, but yeah, like the way he makes his jokes, even the way he dresses, like it's very Chandler. But I think what works for Chandler is he's a little bit older, not by much, but a little bit. Like he's in his 20s. When the show starts, and he grows as a person, but it's also that he has the others to play off of.
There is an ensemble element
like
to that.
Giles is too old to be in that mindset, and too like British also to be in that mindset, because they're in LA, or they're in California. Sunnydale, yeah, that's where she used to live. And then he's surrounded by three other women.
Yeah, well, Cordelia comes and goes, but...
Yeah, but he's with her right now, so, like...
But yeah, there's, Buffy and Willow, who just... Willow has been in love with Xander forever, although...
because they've been best friends for however long.
Right, and of course, Xander is in love with Buffy, who is dating the extra dramatic Angel.
But Xander's also dating Cordelia.
And he's still in love with Buffy and obsessed with Willow now that Willow has a boyfriend.
I know, and Cordelia was like... I mean, she was going to be a cheerleader I don't think she actually is.
I think she is.
She is?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's like the popular cheerleader type.
Right.
Like, that wouldn't give him the time of day, and she knows that.
Right.
But for
She's
whatever
very
reason,
self-aware.
she likes him and is okay with that, like, about herself. And, like, there was a whole episode about her friends not liking Xander, and then Xander does this love potion bullshit that
It's
goes
ridiculous.
wrong. And, like, but in the end, she's like, I don't care what my friends think. Like, I want to be with Xander, so I'm going to be with Xander. I'm going to make fun of him relentlessly and, like,
Yeah, their chemistry's annoying.
put him down. But in the end, they do like each other. Or she likes him more than he likes her.
And she knows that has these obsessions with these other two girls, and she's just so calm about it.
Right.
It's so strange, because when we started watching the show, and you were like, oh my god, did Cordelia and Xander get together?
Yeah, like...
Because, you know, they were teasing each other all the time, and that's how that works in pop culture.
Yeah, they seemed like they hated each other, and I was like,
so
well,
naturally they
anytime
start
people
making
hate
out.
each other, yeah. And that's what happened.
And your guess was, but she's not that into it, and he is,
Yeah,
which is almost the opposite of what's
but,
happening.
I mean, so what I meant, basically, was that she wasn't as into it publicly.
Skater boy style.
Yes. Classic
that
rock.
classic rock song.
Whereas, like, she would be with him, but, like, would hate herself, sort of, in public for being with him, which she kind of is. But what I did not see happening was that she being almost more into it than he was, and him still being, like, a fuckboy with Buffy, and, like, hung up on Willow, who has been in love with him.
He's only hung up on Willow because Willow finally found someone else to be in love with.
And,
because
like,
she's not staring at him anymore.
I don't know if he feels emasculated, probably, the way he acts, and, like, feels like he has to be the big man all the time. But, like, Buffy...
he says that a lot.
Yeah, but Buffy literally kills demons.
Right.
Does not need protection.
And he keeps trying to protect her.
Right, like, she tells everyone else that she doesn't need protected. Like, she hasn't had that conversation with Xander, which would be great if she just kicked his ass and shut him up. But, like, there's no reason he should be acting this way.
No.
But it's very stereotypical male dominance type thing. Like, I just have no patience for it.
Yeah, and, like, and what's so interesting is that the first couple of times I watched Buffy, I was not as repulsed by Xander, but I was also not as staunchly feminist as I am now.
Right, and if I had watched the show, like, back in the day, I might have been a little more okay with it at the time, but, like, just some of the shit he does, I just don't, I can't get
And I could be like, oh, well, it's because he cares about Buffy, but he doesn't, because if he cared about Buffy, he would be behaving differently. Like, he shits on Angel constantly.
From day one.
Yeah, and then there's a whole nonsense where Angel's soul gets removed, so he's back to being his evil vampire self.
Yeah.
And Xander's first move is like, where's my pat on the back? I hated Angel the whole time.
Yeah,
like, can you be sensitive for like 3
motives
seconds?
for hating him weren't the same.
Right.
Like,
literally not related to what's happening right now. Also, if you cared about Buffy, you would not be saying, well, I hated him the whole time.
Right. And, I mean, the minute, like, I probably would have been fine with him up until that point, and also when he treats Willow the way that he did. Because, like, I latched onto Willow pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because she's just awesome.
Yeah.
And, like, the fact that she's happy with another person and he gets all jealous, like, I would have understood it, but when he started acting shittier,
right,
I would have been like, that's it for me. I can't get behind this at all.
Right, and, like, not only is Willow with another person, she's with someone who sees her, who saw her in a crowd. And I mean, like, there's a couple of, I was telling Matt how, like, the whole Oz thing builds, how they don't even meet for, like, the first couple of episodes. He just sees her and goes, who is that girl?
Yeah.
And then eventually they meet and it's perfect and it's everything you want it to be. And
it was very sweet.
Yeah, they're very sweet together.
I just want more of that.
Yeah.
I would want a Willow and Oz show.
Yeah, like, forget an Angel spinoff. Angel sucks.
He is a bit dramatic.
He is very dramatic.
For somebody that's 200 and some years old.
Right. He acts a lot like a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
With, like, a goth 16-year-old.
Yep.
And when he gets evil, you can tell because he starts wearing a lot more eyeliner.
Yeah, that's how you know he's evil.
Right.
Like on the old Star Trek original series, when somebody was evil, they would have like this beard goatee thing.
Oh.
So you could tell them apart from like the evil, like there was good Spock and then there was evil
Sure.
Spock with like this.
Angel should have grown a goatee.
That would have been amazing. I don't care about Angel, but I do like Spike.
I love Spike
is a
and
great
Drusilla.
character. Yeah, I mean...
Drusilla's crazy.
Yeah, I just don't get a sense of who she is because she's so crazy.
Yeah, and I don't either.
Yeah,
but
I mean, she's fun to watch.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you don't really know what she's going to do.
Spike has a lot of dimensions.
Yeah.
And they keep developing. Spike obviously
I'm
makes...
interested in that.
Yeah. I don't know if he comes back in season 3. I think it's season 4 where we start getting a lot more of Spike.
Well, it's good then we have a little break because as much as I want more Spike, I mean, a whole season. I mean, Oz also leaves in season 4, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we see Spike until Buffy goes to college. Spoiler alert.
No, that's fine. That's good. Like, there was this show, I probably talked about it on here, Big Wolf on Campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lasted 3 seasons. I don't think they were like full seasons. But it ended when they went to college.
Okay.
And I had always wondered what would happen when they were in college because that's a whole different ballgame.
Right.
And the story was like this high school quarterback gets bitten on like this bonfire camp
It's
thing.
like Teen Wolf.
Yeah, but the only person that knows is this nerdy goth kid in school that like they used to not be friends, but they used to like know each other a little more.
Okay.
And he befriends him because he's the like werewolf expert in everything, the Giles of the situation.
Sure.
Put
it in language I can understand.
So they fight crime, and then there's this girl that gets involved, like that finds out his secret, and then they go off to college, and that's the end of the show. So it's good that this show continues on in college.
Yeah, college and beyond.
Yeah.
7 seasons.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah, so now that we've finished season 2, we have to start season 2 of Doctor Who. I'm very excited for David Tennant because even with just the Christmas episode, I enjoyed him more than I enjoyed Christopher Eccleston.
And yeah, he's not in that Christmas episode that much.
But he's funny and he's engaging.
Like immediately there's a change in the tone of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Christopher Eccleston is very serious and very like almost no nonsense. He'll make some jokes every now and then, but just even in the regeneration of Christopher Eccleston, the minute David Tennant comes in and it's like new teeth, that's weird. And all that other stuff. It's just very light and bouncy. And
I'm excited.
Yeah. The first episode of the season we're gonna watch is called New Earth.
Okay.
Where they go to
a new Earth.
Well, it's Earth, but it's new.
So a new Earth.
No.
Okay.
It's actually the maybe 18th or 13th. The new Earth. All right, it doesn't matter. It's the first joke I think in that episode, so I spoiled it.
So you spoiled it. Great. So we don't have to watch that one. We'll just skip it.
We do. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Because somebody comes back.
Great.
Yeah, it's not going to be nobody you care about. It's fine.
Okay. The other thing that we have to talk about is we saw the movie Love, Simon.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so good.
It was very sweet.
I also have not read that book. Like, I am striking out on books.
You said the title was different than the movie.
Yes, the title of the book is Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda, which I understand why they changed it.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this, it sounds like a much quirkier kid, like a weirder story. Love, Simon fit this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how the movie compared to the book, but overall the tone was very good. I felt like it conveyed everything it was trying to convey.
Yeah, and it felt like a real high school that we were in. The movie Every Day that we saw.
Yeah.
I feel like Love, Simon was the way it made us feel was how Every Day should have made us feel.
Yeah, because
it deals with similar themes.
Yeah, it was like, so it's high school and it's coming of age and it's like this kid dealing with figuring out his identity and what that means and how he fits in. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. It told a love story. It was one of those feel all the things kind of movies, because like his parents were great, but okay, so the premise of the movie, we're all over the place. Simon is a closeted gay kid. It seems like it could be anywhere in America. It wasn't super specific.
No.
Just he's a high school senior and nobody knows. He's not, and it's not because you get the feeling that anybody would be particularly mad about it. Like, his mom goes to feminist rallies. Like, he has a great family. He has great friends. So it's like so many movies about particularly gay kids are tragedies about, having to overcome adversity and finding the strength to deal with all of that. But this was not a tragedy.
No.
It was heartwarming, because he finally, he had to come to terms with who he was and be okay with himself. And that's sort of, so there's this website where you can, within...
I think it's a Tumblr blog.
That makes sense.
I'm pretty sure. It's called,
Creek Confessions?
Confessions. And it might be, the name of their school or town. Creek Secrets.
Creek Secrets? Okay.
The name of their town, or, just something weird like that. Basically, you can go on there, or, the person that runs it, gossips about people at school, basically. Things that they found out. But
I think you can post on it anonymously.
Can, but I know that there's, somebody posts shit specifically, that keeps tabs on things that are happening around the school.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of how they introduce it. But,
right.
it's the school's way of, knowing what's going on at their school amongst the kids that they go to school with. And somebody posts...
that they are gay and not out. And
right. And they do it anonymously with just the tag blue.
Yeah.
Is the name.
So Simon emails Blue.
Creates a fake Gmail account
and emails him anonymously.
Yeah.
And basically says, I have a big secret too. And the two of them start corresponding and sharing this, I can't even imagine, heavy stuff for, teenagers to have to be fucking trying to figure out. And I mean, I want to say right off the bat that, I can't speak to the feelings in the situation, the experience.
Right.
I've read, I've listened to friends to, fucking musicals, but, so I can't speak to the experience personally, but I have a lot of friends, a lot of people that I follow on various social media that can speak to the experience, have lived it, and have just... The overwhelming consensus is, I wish I had a movie like this when I was in high school.
Yeah, it, not just about its content, sort of what we said with Black Panther, but it's a good story, well told.
Yeah.
And the fact that it is about, somebody who's finding themselves. I mean, any high schooler can relate to that, regardless of, whether they identify as Simon or one of Simon's friends. We're all in that weird stage of, we don't know who we are or what we are, and just going through things like that. And then you have Simon, who's a very likable character.
Yeah. Just a very sweet kid.
Yeah. And, he finds somebody else like him that's been hiding the secret, and he hasn't even told his best friend that he's been friends with for 13 years.
Right.
He finally feels connected to somebody, can relate to somebody, and then falls in love with them.
Yeah. Just
over email. It's very sweet and very sincere, and I really dug it. The soundtrack makes you feel amazing. Great, and the way it plays out, it is like a romantic comedy without being the typical romantic comedy.
Yeah, there was there's sort of equal focus on just the general details of the story and on the fact that this is a gay kid. Mm-hmm. It wasn't it didn't focus entirely on his sexuality. It focused on who he was and who his friends were, and the fact that his sexuality was a vital part of that for him.
Yeah.
So, like, it told a very relatable story, which is amazing because it took an experience that so many people see as not relatable, as being very niche and very specific, and made it relatable, made it coming of age, love story. Yeah, the kind of romantic teen movie that we see all the time.
Right.
Just happened to have a gay kid at the center of it.
Yeah, and like it can pull some of the same tropes and conventions of that genre, but just swapping the characters. Like,
yeah.
It was very cool, and it didn't feel, it was very well balanced in how it was made. It didn't feel too much like one way or the other.
Yeah, it wasn't heavy-handed with what it was trying to say, but it definitely said it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone who is listening, and I know we don't have that many listeners, and that's not what this show's about.
No,
but
we enjoyed doing
if
this.
you have seen it or want to talk about it, definitely send us something, because it was a cool movie. And, like, I mean, I love movies just in general. So, like, going to the movies is always a cool experience, and I'm that dude who gets the large popcorn and the large drink, the Disturbia combo pack.
The large cherry Coke. Don't just say a large drink.
It is specific. But, like, you know, it could be a blockbuster like Black Panther or The Avengers. But I love these sort of smaller, they feel smaller movies.
Yeah.
Like, Love, Simon was very, like, a personal story, or, like, because it's not independent. Right. I don't think it's an independent movie, but, like, it's probably one that not a lot of people would see. It probably slip under the radar for the majority of people. But, like, I don't know. It was very cool. I felt way more about this movie than I did Every Day.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wanted to like Every Day a lot, because of the concept. Yeah,
like, on paper, Every Day is a more interesting concept.
Yeah.
But this was just a much better done movie.
Right.
And, like, you know, you start liking this kid immediately. Like, he has some interaction with his dad where, like, his mom decided that his parents are going to make each other anniversary gifts. And his dad's like, Simon, come here, I want to show you this. And he plays him, like, a video montage of a bunch of pictures.
Like, it was made on Windows Movie Maker.
And Simon...
like, through a very, like, it might have been a country song or something, like
song that he just slapped on top of it. And Simon is like, Dad, this looks like it was made by a 4th grader. Like, not even like a smart 4th grader, like a deeply average 4th grader. The kids are also Simon's in a play. Like, there's the school theater angle, which is deeply relatable. One of the teachers, like, just kicks ass.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, everything you want to happen does. It's nice.
It's very cool.
You feel all the things.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again, and then you leave smiling, which is great.
Which is another great feeling about the movie. It's hard to do that these days sometimes. Even with, I mean, this isn't technically an adaptation of a book, but, like, regardless of how, you know, many original stories exist out there, they're just... they don't have to be original stories, but they can be originally told. Right. And I don't know, I very much felt that way with this movie. Even if I've seen the story in different iterations and different ways a couple hundred times, it felt unique. It felt like it was its own thing. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I keep saying the word warm. Like, it was
very
so
warm.
Nice. And I mean, like, Wrinkle in Time was the last adaptation movie that we saw. And the thing with a lot of book-to-movie adaptations is they feel rushed. There are dots that don't feel fully connected. And, I mean, you know, for not having read either of those books, Wrinkle in Time made me feel like I need to, just to even see if the story is any good. Like, Love, Simon did not feel like an adaptation in a really good way. It felt like a very cohesive movie in a way that book movies very often don't.
Like, it could stand on its own.
Yeah. And, like, I want to read the book because I'm a book person. Right. But, I mean, I didn't get the feeling that I was missing anything by not having done it.
Definitely didn't feel you wanting, or, like, how did they get from that to that? Like,
right. The only thing was, when Blue was finally revealed, we I don't even want to say that because I don't want to ruin.
You don't have to.
I'm not gonna. I wasn't gonna give a name.
Because I do feel
we didn't feel connection with the person that was revealed as Blue.
So, like, since Blue is anonymous, sort of we get an idea of what Simon thinks Blue, who Simon thinks Blue is, with sort of, almost a disembodied voice, and then we start seeing this body, but like can't see their face, and then finally when like Simon is trying to figure out who it is in school that is like this. We see
him picturing this person.
Yeah.
Typing.
Several different
Yeah, a couple
people.
of different.
And one of...
And
right.
we cycle through a couple of, I think 3 different characters.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sitting there ticking through in my mind, like, the boys that we've seen on screen. And I'm like, well, if it's not these people, then it's, like, who's left?
Yeah, that was the only thing, because Blue is... Even though we don't know who Blue is, or because we don't know who Blue is, we don't get a sense of their character.
Right.
Everything we know about Blue, we get from these emails. But the person that's sending the emails in Simon's mind keeps changing.
So I wonder if in the book there's more time to develop some of these side characters so that when the reveal is made, it matters a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you're happy for Simon that this is
for sure.
Someone that's not weird. I don't know.
No, yeah, it works out for Simon.
Like running down the list, I'm like, the only guys left are like his dad and the teacher, and I don't think it's that kind of movie.
No, that would have been a different.
That would have been
movie.
real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But definitely go see the movie.
Yeah, it's worth seeing, and all the actors and everyone was just awesome in it.
Yeah, and like all of the little details, like, he and his friend, he drives his friends to school every day. They have their specific places in the car where they sit every time. They go get iced coffee every morning. Like, there were details that felt more like contemporary high school than I think any high school movie I've seen maybe ever. Like, just the way they spoke, the things that they did, it didn't feel like adults deciding what teenagers are like. It felt like teenagers.
Yeah. Very well put.
Thank you.
Because, to not feel fake.
No. Yeah, I mean, I remember having those conversations in the hallway.
Yeah.
And I mean, even, like, I've worked with high schoolers post-high school, and it was very true to that experience.
Yeah.
So everything about the movie was amazing. It left me feeling warm and happy. I had no intention of paying money to go see it in theaters because we're trying to save money.
Right, because we're moving.
Right, but we were both stressed out and needed a reset, and I kept seeing people talk about how amazing the movie was, so...
Yeah, it was worth it.
Very worth it, especially at matinee prices.
Yeah, for sure.
Although I would have paid full price for.
Yeah, like, that's a shame. Some of the movies that we just haven't liked, we've paid full price for, and then we find a gem like this, and you want to give them more money.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think that's all we got. Let me just check the list real quick.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
I think that's it, too.
So...
Just your Fah-Chay left.
Your Fah-Chay.
Your Fah-Chay.
I said your Fah-Chay.
Luke, I am your Fah-Chay.
Do you know what that is?
No, what is that? I know what a Fah-Chay is. I hate you.
I was just checking.
All right, so this has been the Matthew Danko podcast.
Excuse me, you talked more than I did.
I don't think that's ever been true.
It is. You did. I'm going to pull up the receipts here. Please. I have the audio receipts in WAV format.
Who's talking right now?
You are. Through me. You see, you hear all this sarcasm and sassiness? That's because of you.
Bye.
So, no, we're not done.
Oh, I thought we were.
Well, I wanted to say that next week we'll be in our new apartment.
In our new apartment.
Out of limbo and in our new apartment. God, this has turned into a train.
This is exhausting.
And in our new apartment, we'll have a room for podcasting.
And other things. It's not going to be just a room with a microphone.
It could be. But no, it's not. It's going to have all my toys
It's going
in
to be my bedroom.
Excuse you. We're going to record the podcast in your bedroom? Is that what you want?
It's going to be your bedroom.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So hopefully, like, I'll get the walls to not bounce sound as much. Like, I'm going to actually, like, work on a little recording studio type thing, because I really loved the guys talking about shit, their setup, the GTAS podcast. I've probably said this a bunch of times already on this show, and I've definitely told them a bunch of times, but, like, before, when we were, or they were recording that show, and I'd be on, it was just, cell phone in the middle of the table. We would all sit around and do it. That's how I did most of the episodes on the TheDoctorDanko podcast.
Don't call it that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just with my phone. But then, like, when they finally decided they're going to do their new season, they're going to revamp everything, put some money into it, they got a very cool setup. They have all their, their action figure table sort of set up, and then they have their two sides to the table and their headphones, and, like, it's a really cool setup. I just really dig it.
So our table will be you and your toys, and then I'll just have, like, a pile of books that I hide behind.
I was thinking, well, theirs works because it's a visual thing. We don't have that element.
We don't have any money to put into this.
No, we don't. It's fine. We don't even have money to record this episode right now. But
that's all for... I was making a joke. We ran out of money to record the episode.
No, I got it. You explained it, and it ruined the joke. It was supposed to be Simon. Anyways, so we'll be in our new place. We'll have our new setup. We'll have our new theme song. And...
Tune in.
That's not the main part of the song.
Why did not you warn
That's
me?
not even the song. That's one of the songs I thought about using. But I fucking lost my train of thought.
Why did not you warn me?
That's closer. I really don't remember how it goes.
Great.
I recorded
it's
it for
into
so
my
long.
brain.
Yeah, I know. I was recording the vocals.
Okay, are we done? I feel like
no,
we're done.
Because I didn't get to say the thing that I don't even remember how to say. So this is just dead air because of you. Oh, Christ. So next week we'll be in our new apartment. I cannot for the life of me remember what we were going to say. I'll talk about Swiss Army Man, which is the movie I watched but can't talk about. Brigsby Bear I'll also probably have watched, so I'll talk about one for too long and then cut that for the next week, and this will just be a never-ending thing.
Dope.
Yeah, but if you want to listen to this podcast, we are now available on iTunes, Why Did Not You Warn Me? Stitcher. We're also available on Google Play Music and iHeartRadio. All of these are hosted for free because, like we said, we have no money for this. And we're probably not going to ever put money into this unless, like, we get, like, YouTube famous, which I don't see happening.
Nope.
But the other thing is that we are joining forces with a bunch of other networks or other YouTube channels. We're creating one network on YouTube where you can go and see all of this shit. So everyone has their own YouTube channels. The guys talking about shit. The GTAS podcast will still have their own YouTube channel. Why Did Not You Warn Me will still have their YouTube channel. And a few other partners I'm bringing on will retain their channels, but we'll all collect and congregate in the new network, the Bogus Bag. This will be... What? You came up with the name.
I know.
Okay, so the Bogus Bag is an obscure reference, but it's where you'll be able to find all of this cool-ass content. Comic book news, video game shit, toy reviews, things like that will be featured in all these different shows, and then you'll be able to find them on the Bogus Bag Network. So I'm really excited about that. Hopefully we get that up soon when we move to Pittsburgh. I'll be able to finalize a bunch of shit. But so that's it for this show. I'm your host, Matthew, the Dr. Danko.
I'm Hillary Crum. I'm here too.
Once the show ends, please don't shed those tears. We'll come back again, so have no fear. We told you that it just might end up this way. What's the show called again? You cannot be saying, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now?